All right, everyone, we're gonna go ahead and settle into the space, coming back after lunch. My name is Andach June Sabina Allen. I'm just kicking it off for our presenters. I'm gonna hand it over to them to introduce themselves and everything. But thank you all so much for being here, and get excited for a really great and interactive presentation. So.
Gunalchish hat ye adi. Thank you all for coming here. Gunalchish hat ye adi. Strak yuchaduasak Tlingit Xinag. Alice Taff is my name in English. I am adopted Deg and born in New Jersey and live now in Juneau. And my work is as a linguist. And this is my co-presenter, Paul Shannon.
Hi, everybody.
Give a word of your background-ish.
Sure. A couple of, or 3 or 4 people have already asked me sort of, the question implicitly was, what's a white guy from Seattle doing up here? And a very brief bio is that after a checkered youth, I entered a career as a scientific programmer, always especially drawn to visualizing things. And the connecting theme across a few decades of working in radio astronomy and then molecular biology is I was drawn to beautiful old structures, elegant structures, galaxies, protein complexes. And then I got involved in Lushootseed, the indigenous language of the Puget Sound. Wrote some software just to help me study a story, got Tom Sawyered into a more general version via our mutual friend David Beck, Lushootseed and Totenic, field and abstract theoretical linguist. And then Alice came along solving the perennial problem of any craft worker, which is you put your heart into something and it never gets used. And so Alice has put me to work, and I'm very grateful for that.
Sheesh. So it's not as if it didn't get used, this project, the Tlingit documentation project, and Deg Xinag oral narratives. We had a nice software on the web, and it failed. It was Flash-based, and Flash quit. And then it took me 4 years to find someone who would work on it. And for the last year, through David Beck, whose name is also on the program, but is not here, he's at the University of Alberta, Paul and I were connected, and we've developed the software for Tlingit, these conversations, and any other language. So on your pencil, the second line says Tlingit Selxil. So Tlingit, and then Selxil is Lushootseed for daylight. So we'll be talking about how you can get to these online, and we would be going online, except but you'll have your pencil to get there. So let us first show you some of the things that you can see when you get online, and then we'll find out how to get online.
So the display here is the projector causes us to make this very large, but I think it'll work fine anyway. So I'm going to start with line 3 here, and the video can be made larger or or smaller, but I'll keep it small enough so that you can see the speakers and also the text. And so if I press this 3, or when I press this 3, the video will go to that point in the recording.
Yeah, adiat khasati the how start khasiti hadat atchkatni.
So the size of the display makes this a little awkward here, but so we have the transcription that's and the translation made by Alice. But then if we play in continuous mode from just clicking on this button.
Tu haya kao su set teenage stage.
So could we take
The cut.
the picture out of the
Yeah.
picture
We can.
and place it so we might see more text? So, and then he's going to reduce this video size here.
Oh, good idea.
So we can see more of the text and reduce the video
You want to reduce it?
a little bit so we can see more of the text.
Good.
And maybe move it up.
An expert user.
So now continuous play.
So let's go down.
Ta ko usiach atust nuch.
And
Yeah.
right, there's a.
Ya go
Thank you.
fall time ka hey now. Wushtin atudalun nuch.
Yeah.
So adiat khasati the how ha you the tlitu.
Just
Play 9?
turn it up. Turn it on.
I'll try. I think we're as high as we can be from here. Is there,
So adiat khasati the how ha you the tlitu.
Many times you can play that.
So adiat khasati the how ha you the tlitu. So adiat khasati the how ha you the tlitu. Ta ko ya kik say chikpine.
So we have a variety of other controls in addition to the one you see, which is video size. And here we can change the playback speed, the print size, larger. We can also, what might be useful for some study cases is if we turn off the translation, we just get the Tlingit translation. And then
Continuous play with the speed change.
yeah, so I'll slow down the speed here to half speed.
Ta ko ya kik say chikpine.
So the pedagogical virtues of that, I hope, seem interesting.
When you have this on your own computer, you'll be able to see a lot more. Thank you. When you have it on your own computer, you'll be able to see a lot more of the text as it's scrolling up.
And I can try to get you a bit of that in. You have to put up with that flash here. That's why we shrunk it down. But if you look for that for a second, you can see it in its, so to speak, more familiar.
Ta ko ya kik say qati khatsut ay khatnatish.
Yeah.
So okay,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
The cut at soon ha you the details.
And we
Oh, yes. I'm going to close the video window for a second. Can always open it again. And so we have this dialog box that pops up with some that explains all the operations and frequently gives credit where credit is due. We can get more on screen by closing the controls. So the extent to which this is language neutral, our primary demo is the first canto of Dante's Inferno. And so most of the work that I have done so far is in either Lushootseed or Tlingit. We did some Hokomitnam a year ago, and it could be Mandarin, Chinese. We've not said it out loud yet, but I enjoy this work a lot, and I'd love to do more of it for anyone or with anyone who would find it useful.
So do you want to switch to Deg Xinag?
Yeah.
Just to show that any other language, Kim?
I just wonder how you access this.
Good question. Now, if you look at your pencil, the top line, you can search. What words? Tlingit conversation talk, and the first opportunity that comes up should be the University of Alaska Southeast whale tail with information about, I mean, you could just click on that and you'll get to the site. And I'll just say about this Tlingit documentation of conversation project that we started in 2006 and went through 2013 with the National Science Foundation, and then got a National Endowment for the Humanities Fellowship to finish translating the other 30 hours of recording that we had. There are 98 recordings of elders. I think 2 are still with us. There were 100 people who worked on the project, the speakers and the helpers. So, you know who they did it for? Yes, you. They did it for you. And in the forms that they had to fill out for National Science Foundation or Human Subjects Protection, everybody was asked, do you want your name linked with the work? And every single one of them said yes, every single one of them. So,
if I could say. So here we don't have video on this particular piece, but we have audio, and it works essentially the same. The first 2 lines of each story are often notations rather than the conversation itself.
okay, this is Deg Xinag language, which is, you all know this map, I'm sure, so it's the westernmost of Alaska's Dene languages on the Yukon and Oka rivers. And so some people know where Holy Cross is, and that's part of this area. So we started that project maybe in 2003 or so, and are still working on it. Still working with the speaker.
The one speaker remaining, Edna?
Edna Deacon. So here's an example of her work, and she's talking about she wanted to find out how to make a clay bowl. So the SOK is the bowl, and SOK she always translates as mud. Start
What would you like now?
when I was small.
Up,
This one.
3.
Yeah.
It's the dong sito.
Should I play continuously?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Gan SOK with the cut. And it's that's what they make pot out of, he tell me. I tell him, what kind of pot? SOK, he said. Cooking pot. Then I want to know how they mix it to make it into a pot. Get iske we tochta liach nesato. In na hein like a bread dough. Na hein and then
They need it.
yeah, they need it. But I didn't ask him what kind of feathers they put in there. Is this grouse feathers, I think? And it have to be just right feathers in there, he said. Get if go talk and na him it a gas he said snake, meaning it turned just good, just right to make the pot. Then they start forming via gavatri pot. And
So you may have noticed that sometimes this line, even though it's in English, it's bold. So that's the utterance line. Whatever came out of the speaker's mouth is here. And then the English translation is not bold.
Could I show the Lushootseed grammar?
Yep.
So the software aspires to be very general, and so a different use of the same and the familiar-looking screen is I work with a group called Lushootseed Research in Seattle, and they have a conversational grammar that was lovingly done in the 1970s with tape, and it's not much used because it's hard to get the tapes. You can buy the book, but the book is also hard to find. So we came up with the idea to put it on the web, and so here you can see just a quick example. So here we have in Lushootseed. And here we have the answer. And so over here in the right-hand box are notes added from the text that elaborate on the sentence spoken. And in my own study, since I know nothing about, or I know very little, and I at the start knew nothing at all about about linguistics, and I had this expert advisor who would speak way above my head. I use the same capability to take notes on, for instance, what irrealis means, an uncertain event, but I didn't know what that word meant. And so it can be, one can use this software to customize a grammar, a conversational grammar, or you can study and take your own notes, and you can share those notes. So we try to have it completely flexible and useful for any language. And if anybody has any projects that they think might fit in here, please see me.
I'm going to ask for questions in a minute, but first, Amy, I need your help. So, Paul has done this work as a volunteer. So we'd like you to have this. And you want to put it on and make it a little bit longer if you want to choose. Thank you. This is Paul's partner. Hello.
We'll fix it later. Yeah.
Questions? Yes.
Well, I just looked it up on my phone. Is that what it looks like? Am I on the right site?
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks kind of different, but it looks very easy to use on your phone. You can use it on the phone?
If you were to click the button that says listen and learn, I think.
Learn and follow along.
Yeah, then you'll see something very like this.
She's getting it on her phone.
I was going to say. Awesome.
Yes.
And the size of the screen, you might want to turn it sideways where the. But yeah, it works on a phone, works on an iPad.
I think I probably missed the explanation, but is that auto-generated, like it's pulling words from the database and then it's translating or projecting those words?
Yeah.
Or is somebody going in manually along the video post-production and adding that?
Right. So we have a couple of standard formats for marking up a video, and a standard tool that linguists use a lot is called ELAN, which is pretty confusing. And so I've written a very simple, I created a very simple format where you just say line starts at this point, ends at this point. This is the transcription, this is the translation, and that's fairly straightforward to use. But truth told, besides people who know how to use ELAN, it's all been my typing at a keyboard. And we do have a website for an upload of an ELAN file. And a recognized task is to make this, to the extent it becomes interesting to people, to make it really straightforward to create a new document.
Is it open source?
Oh yeah, all open source. And so we use Python to generate JavaScript and HTML. It's all on GitHub, all ready to get collaborators to join it. How about if I give you a card and we can be in touch?
Just to be clear, though, the work here was hundreds and hundreds of hours of people manually. Yeah. Oh, just to say that it was a team of people working with SOK to listen to and transcribe what they were hearing in the videos and then put them into these things. While I have the mic, I would just say to folks who teach languages, these conversations are just a wonderful, wonderful teaching tool, and I have turned some of them actually into play scripts, which I use with my students. And some of them are really funny, and some of them involve babies, and some of them involve history, and there's just all kinds of cool things you can do, and you just know it's really, really rich, good language because it's speakers speaking to speakers in a natural, organic setting.
So, Jock, I just want to congratulate you on this is an incredible recovery of this. This work is amazing, and what you've brought forth with it as a result of losing this to Flash for a time period is amazing.
And she's
So speaking about losing it to Flash, Flash, as perhaps many of you know, is a now obsolete web video library, and I've taken great care to only use things right in the middle of the current W3C standards. And so I can't guarantee that in 20 years these pages will still play, but I could say it's very likely that they'll still be completely functional in decades.
And you keep your originals. That's how we were able to regenerate this. Keep your original recordings, keep your original translation, transcription, morphological analysis, and give a copy to some archives that are highly rated. And then you can redo what you need to redo.
Are we able to download the videos or the audio themselves from this site?
The MP3s, and for both the Tlingit and the Deg Xinag, and the Deg Xinag also has PDFs of the transcript, time aligned. Yeah, so they're ready to be printed. Joseph Marks. I asked him, because he has a similar, fabulous project going, if he can get it to open up.
Yeah, I can
On here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Any questions while they're prepping? How are we doing for time? Sticker people. If everybody would take a sticker and write your response about what you think about this work and the presentation, that would, direct us to do a better job in the future. We don't have internet, it seems, but it's okay. I can see that some of you might be able to use some data on your phone. If you go to hashukwat.com, you can, this is a project that I've been working on with two individuals, Lonnie and Christopher. They are both Yupik speakers. They have Christopher has his master's degree in computer engineering, and Lonnie, he has his master's degree in computational linguistics. And together we are able to utilize the information that was provided on these conversations and develop a search engine. So let's say that you wanted to figure out what, before I go into that, I want to say to DIA, because through DIA I was able to manage this project and implement. Douglas Indian Association out of Juneau. And this search engine utilizes the work from Carrie Edward Eggleston, who did her PhD work in compiling a bunch of Tlingit verbs. So she did a lot of the analysis on how to conjugate Tlingit verbs, which is highly complex. And through that, she did a whole bunch of audio. And I think it was just a little bit under 2,000 phrases that were collected. And we were initially working with that, but then I approached Jock that we had this possibility of creating this website, and it would be great if we were able to incorporate the conversations that they had worked on so diligently. So we were able to utilize all of this information and compile it into one resource that is searchable. So it's really similar to
it's like Tlingit Google. If you wanted to look at it that way, you can put in English word, and if the word is existing in the compilation of all of this information, it'll pull it right up. And it'll have the audio, you can look at the conjugation, you can just select from what type of information are you selecting from. So from Carrie's dictionary work or from the conversations. And also the first time ever this was all recorded was the Tlingit phrase book. Sian Wadaka Netumulak and myself, we spent a couple of hours recording all of that information. So the title of this is Hashukayuk Atange. And as you know, the word shukwa is ambiguous in Tlingit, and I chose this specifically because, as you just heard, it was in 2006 that the conversation started, the project conversation. So these projects have been going on for quite a long time. And so shukwa, if we're thinking about all the work that has been done before us, and who are we doing it for, is for those who are yet to come. Right? So this is why I chose this word, hashukayuk atangi, because of this bidirectionality of the word. But if you just go to this website, there's some example words that you can select from. I think it might take a little bit because we're in Sitka right now. So that was one of the fantastic things that we were able to do with this is that we initially started with a little bit less than 2,000 phrases. When we included all of the work that has been done, we were able to include over 2,000 phrases, or 20,000 phrases. So we are able to really search all of these things. So. An example that we can look here, we can either look in Tlingit or we can look in English. So we can look up khat.
Khat.
And you can go into more information here, and it'll generate all of this from Carrie's work, and including these phrases.
Se khat khat se awayak e kastud idatini satsin sak at itluni.
And then it will give you more of the linguistic information further at the bottom. So, like if you wanted to look at these category lists. And this is the first time that I'm showing this to a group of people, so I'm a little bit nervous here talking about it. So, yeah, or you can look into a verb like yak'e. And here it pulls up all these different things. You can click this and it'll show all this stuff here. And here it includes the audio. And then you can look up even this stuff in the sentence that has the dotted underlines. And you can even go down rabbit holes after rabbit holes of all this stuff, which is one of the things that I really enjoy about discovering more about the words. So here you can see the conjugation. But let's look at more about these audio clips. So you can look up the same word, yak'e, from the phrase book. So the ones that are lightly green are from the phrase book that I just talked about, and these maroon colors are from the conversations. So here you get more of the source information. And so here we can see dastia. So you can look here. And it gives up all of this information. So if it's able to select this information, it will show you what it means. And then it will if you click here, it'll go straight to that video, to the original source. So then you can play it.
And can you play it from just that sentence, or you go to the source?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not able to play from this. That we weren't able to incorporate that function during my time at DIA. But it tells you the information. So it's at line 4 or line 330. So you can go back to the conversation, go all the way. So where's the controls? Oh, it's here. So you can scroll all the way down to that. So it's 303, 302, 330. So we can go all the way down to this one right here.
Okay.
So what I really like about this is that I wrote the reasoning behind why this was done this way. So here I wrote this acknowledgement of why I called it Hashuka. But the aim of this project was to make materials and knowledge more accessible. So this tool is created for learners of all ages, so they can use it, but not only use it, but to create more materials. So that's one of the things that I wanted to really help is curriculum writers for our language, so that they're able to, if they don't have access to a speaker, they can go to this website and then have so much access to so many speakers because of the great work that was done before us. So,
Questions, comments?
I have a comment. That's beautiful.
Oh, just any kind of comment you want to make. If we had you online poking around, you would say, I found a problem at this place, and why didn't you, whatever, or this works really well for me, that kind of thing, but,
So, like if I recorded it on my cell phone, and then I listened to the speaker, I wrote it down, and then he said it, and I recorded it on my cell phone. Am I able to do something with that, with the words written down, already translated in what he said?
Where did you write the words down?
In my journal, and it's also written in my computer. Well, I'm working on it, and just a day and a half was over like 20 pages.
So the answer is you're well on your way, having written things down. But if you want to use this setup, the Selxil, that would go into what's it do asakwa? Kudek. You would use this Elan software from Max Planck Institute. It's free, downloadable.
But it's also there. It's really there.
No, it's wonderful. It's easy to use, and I can help anybody get going on it, and so can you.
And so, on our way to make it easy for anyone to take all the steps themselves and see the finished project. In the interim, I invite you to send the audio and your computer version of the transcription, maybe translation. Just send it to me at the email address, and I can put it up pretty quick. And at least a sample of it for you to say, yeah, that's promising, or no, that's the wrong idea. And we could do a test real quick. And I'd welcome that.
And he has cards.
Could you speak to what your workflow looks like for just uploading a video or a piece of audio to your website?
So I could, if you go to a URL that I'll mail you. We do have an upload, but it requires the output of the bear that I referred to a moment ago that Alice is so fond of, Elan. And, but if you didn't go that route, we don't have another route yet except me. And I'd be glad to give you a start. Oh, I have a question. So when I was over in Ya yesterday, I saw a collection of stories by the Donhauer, if I'm pronouncing that properly, Donhauer. And it was a very thick book, and it mentioned on the back that these are all transcribed and that they all have audio. And it looked like a very large book, but a very worthwhile project that we could Selxilify them, and also perhaps even try out a reciprocal link. Now, I'm flattered that you link to us, and maybe we could link to you as well, and that to make all of that vast literature available and listenable, that seems that would be a really worthwhile goal. And we could start small and test the waters.
So the Tlingit and Deg Xinag work that you've seen here I was sent you to the University of Alaska Southeast website, but they're really at the University of Alberta, courtesy of David Beck. So don't tell anybody. Anyone else?
I noticed that, and I wondered about data durability, like their links staying up. I wondered about data durability. I mean, their links staying up because it's referring to an outside website.
Yeah. So David is the chair of his department, and I think we're good for at least a decade, but it's not a permanent solution. Sorry. It's not a permanent solution. We're solid for a decade, I'm sure. And it would be great, especially as data storage speeds go up and prices come down, if we could find like a recurring grant that gave us all of the moderately high internet speed, high data capacity storage that we could get. I have a friend who works at Amazon, and I asked her if she could refer me to some philanthropic AWS group, and that hasn't happened yet. And then apropos of this, on a tangent, my son works in the archives of an Appalachian project in Whitesburg, Kentucky, and they hadn't digitized but a small part of their video and audio when they were hit by a devastating flood 2 summers ago. And since then, they attracted a lot of attention because of that. And so the fairly well-known data storage company, Iron Mountain, has offered them free, permanent, perpetual storage of their digital archives. And so it seems like we might find a deal like that as well for a similarly worthwhile need.
And ideally, University of Alaska Southeast would not be linked to Alberta. The material would be there on their server, but not yet. We're in the process. Hutaway?